Any song that means the most to you, Lee? I know if I asked Walt that, he'd say, yeah, the one that
There's just so many songs, and I think the thing that has remained constant with us is the consistency of good material. And I love that each one of the songs that comes up, you can't just, you know, from night to night, not prepare and just go up there, yeah, I think I'll just play that song now, you know, the ballet, no problem. The songs are intricate enough and difficult enough musically where you have to put some effort in. So to pick a favorite song, the whole body is worth playing.
Got to get him to run for office, huh? Like the way he kind of like.
Well, he's, you know, he's right. I mean,
Irish, he could run in Boston, Massachusetts.
The music is a challenge, and if you get up there on that stage night after night, you know, and you go, you go at this with the mindset of, man, I'm going to make every note count. Before you know it, the show's over because you're involved, you know, with making those notes happen when and where they're supposed to happen, and it's the communion with an audience. People ask me, how can you play Saturday in the Park night after night after night? Well, every night is the first night because every crowd situation is different. And it's that audience that is giving you back.
Feeds back.
What that song represents to them. And each song has a personal memory. These people relate to where they were and what they were doing when they heard that song. And you see that going on in a crowd every night. That's what makes it
Yeah, Jimmy,
alive.
their minds get flooded with memories, song after song.
You don't realize how you affect people's lives that way. When you ask the question, how do we see ourselves? And like I said to you at the forefront of being a rock and roll band with horns, but I'm reminded, just from seeing the people's faces from night to night, that we touch people in ways that we're not even aware of. Whether it was a Vietnam vet that we ran into in Boston who got to know our music after he had been shot down in Vietnam, but got into the music when he came back to town, or a battalion chief in LA, a fireman, who says, we were pinned down in a firefight, and I knew I wasn't gonna get out of it. And I made my peace with the man upstairs, and all of a sudden, a big chopper came down, blaring, "It better end soon." And he says, and I knew I was gonna make it.
We've been talking about songs, particular songs, but in terms of, let's say, albums in totality, if somebody walks up to you and says, what's Chicago all about? I mean, the true essence of Chicago, you'd give them which disc?
I have to say the first album. I mean, that was...
Because?
Because it was the manifesto for the band. It was 7 guys who shook hands and decided to take this thing as far as they could, acknowledging that we all came from different backgrounds, we all have different tastes, we all played different instruments. And the only concept was, let's just make music together and see what happens. And that's really what the first album is about. It's very broad in style, and it had a huge impact, not only on the people who listened to it, but on us as well.
Your earlier discs, I mean, everybody knows how it reflected a lot of political emotion and empathy. I don't want to put you gentlemen on the spot, but in terms of your politics, what would you like to see happen in November of 2004?
Politics is a dirty subject. You know, I mean, we are Americans. We're lucky to live in the greatest country in the world. It's not a perfect system, but we got to make the best of it. Robert was the political proponent principally in the early days. He had to write about things that affected him as a young American. There were inequities going on in our country. We used our platform to express.
And Jimmy did it eloquently and articulately. You did, Robert. You did.
Well, it was a legitimate platform, and he had a legitimate opinion.
And it spoke to
and
the
an
times.
Intelligent opinion. The problem is, it became a cause celeb among every kook outfit from Washington to Maine. We had these student radical groups following us around, beating our door down to start a revolution, violent revolution. And it got to the point where we realized our true objective and our goal here is to entertain. The media blast us every day with these headlines, you know, and now since 9/11 we're living in a different world, and we asked ourselves, how do we work? How do we justify going up on that stage and having a good time and dancing around and singing and playing instruments?
Robert, can you speak to that?
Yes, I can. Well, first of all, I'll say that in the late 60s and early 70s, what I was writing about and trying to express, and I feel not very articulately, was really a reflection of what I saw around me, and I kind of feebly expressed it the best I could. As I've gotten older, I've seen that there are many layers to politics, both in the U.S. and in the world. And as Jimmy said, especially since 9/11, everything has been turned on its head. You know, we travel and walk through airports all the time, and I can't tell you how victimized I feel. I'm a God-fearing, tax-paying, productive American, and I feel like I'm a criminal.
Because of the way everything is set up.
Because where everything is set up, and as I say, I think that there are a lot of layers to this, and I think that my own opinion is that that is all for show. It's all to make us feel a little more reassured that the country is more secure than it really is.
So in some ways you feel safe, but in others you feel violated.
I don't feel any safer at all. I feel violated. That's a little point. As far as where I personally stand now, I've gone from being someone who is kind of a young, stupid, idealistic young person, as most young persons are, to a middle-aged man who has read more, experienced more, and I've gone from being kind of liberal to I'll vote for who I think the best man is, you know, and unfortunately the choices that we're given, whether it's a local election or a national election, are not sufficient.
So you'll vote for somebody who you think speaks for you the best.
The best, and it's really a wash.
Isn't that what we all do?
Exactly. Back to the music. Here's the scenario. Tonight, we know this is not the truth. We're glad of it to a higher power. But if this was to be the last concert ever of this band, ever, not the last song of the set, but of the encore, right before you take your bow, right before the lights go up, the last song you gentlemen want to play, and for what reason, would be what?
I think we'd put the set together the way we have it constructed right now. It would have much more meaning, obviously. It would be the last time. And
if you could live this career over again, live the whole career over again, would you do anything or wish for anything differently?
I wouldn't. You know, I could say, oh, we should have done this or we could have done that. We made a mistake here. You know, it's turned out pretty damn great. It really has. You know, and going through it all again, my goodness. Or would you want to relive it again? That'd be gluttony, wouldn't it? In a way. I mean, we sure had a great time at this. Here we are sitting here talking with you. 37th touring season. We never missed a touring season ever. You know, and here we are to do that. And as Lee says, you know, if it ends with 25 or 6-4 tonight and that's where it's supposed to end, so be it.
With everything you've achieved, everything you've accomplished, everything I listed in the beginning, if there was one dream, though, one dream that you could see become a reality that this band would want, I mean, other than family and good health, things along those lines.
I think the dream of any performer, any artist, let's say, is to leave something behind. And my wish would be that my grandchildren's children were still listening to Chicago, hearing Chicago on the radio, if that was such a thing in that day in the future. We still listen to Mozart today. We listen to Beethoven. If Chicago could have some sort of immortality, that would be the ultimate dream for me, the ultimate wish. Leave it behind.
To add to that, being a classically trained musician, to have some kid in the year 2105 go up and look at one of those records and pull one of them out and go, wow, I knew about them, I knew a few of the things they did, but I'm going to really take this out for my form and analysis class and bring it to composition class and show the teacher something that I think is really great. And if that'd be the case, wherever we are, and we might not smell too good, I hope our ears are ringing, because that's would be fine for me.
Well, then they can bring out the Chicago box set, Chicago the box, the 5 CD boxed set on Rhino with the DVD. Also forthcoming, Chicago 25 with those 6 brand new cuts that you just did this past spring.
A lot of fun to do, too.
Also, right here on PBS, Soundstage. Jimmy Pankow, Walt Perezader, Robert Lamb, Lee Loughnane. Gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough, so close to showtime, for taking a moment to come here and chat with me. I greatly, this means more to me than you can possibly imagine.
Pleasure's all
Litch, you're
ours.
terrific. You always you always asked the right questions and kept us thinking. And you're a true fan, and for that we thank you.
And you say our last names right every time.
I love you, gentlemen. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate
Back
it.
at you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Litch.
it. Here at the Cabaret at the Mohegan Sun in Uncasville, Connecticut, for Words and Music, I'm Litch. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.